Right, today I'm going to be ranking my top 10 favourite horror slashers of all time. Not much else really to be said, so we're just going to get straight into it. My number 10 spot, this might shock a few people that this person is so low. We have Michael Myers. Hands in the air, I'm just going to be honest. I'm not a huge fan of Michael Myers. I actually kind of felt forced to put Michael Myers on this list because I feel like when you're making some sort of horror slasher list, you have to have the basics on there, you know, Michael Myers, Jason, Freddy Krueger, that sort of thing. So I felt kind of forced to put Michael Myers on there. However, if I was doing a top five, Michael Myers would be obviously nowhere near it. And I actually wasn't even going to put him in the top 10, but like I mentioned, I felt like when you're doing something like this, he has to be there. Honestly, as iconic as he is, and as big of a name and a face as he is in the horror sphere, I just don't really like the movies. I think his look is very basic, pretty boring. I think he's just a big guy who's kind of a Looney Tune, and I think all his movies are really repetitive and boring, and they drag them out a lot. From the original, we've got another Halloween movie coming out, don't we? Didn't he get like, well, I guess I called him a human. I guess he's not really a human. Didn't he get like destroy, like absolutely obliterated in his most recent movie? Like they threw his body in one of those, like, what do you call it, like wood chippers? Is that not what happened? I could be wrong, but my number 10 spot was honestly between Michael Myers and Chucky, and there's no way I could put Chucky above. If I had Chucky on this list and not Michael Myers, my channel would be terminated. Right, I guess we can move right on to my number 9 spot. We have Ghostface. Again, I kind of felt forced to have Ghostface on the list just because, same thing as Michael Myers, I feel like his movies are really repetitive. They're the same thing. However, the new one coming out with Matthew Lillard coming back as Stu, I will definitely be watching that one because I think it'll be interesting how they bring the character back. I want to see how Matthew Lillard jumps back into the role. However, his look's okay, I guess. It's not as boring as Michael Myers. It's still pretty basic, but you know, you have to give credit where credit's due. He is an icon, but I'm just not a fan of his movies. I feel like all of his movies are exactly the same. He goes and terrorizes another group of people. They might use the same group of people for 2 or 3 movies, but I just think they're quite boring. Once again, I just don't really enjoy watching the Scream movies or the Halloween movies. The scary movies are okay, you know, it's kind of the same character, it's just like a comedy version. I probably honestly prefer the scary movies more than I do the Scream movies. Just not a fan. Everyone remember, real quick, this is all personal preference. I'm not trying to say everyone shouldn't like Michael Myers because he's boring, or everyone should hate the Scream movies because they're repetitive. That's not what I'm saying. All I'm saying is, I think these two characters are boring in pretty much every way. They're very basic. Don't attack me in the comments for my opinion, please. Now we have my number 8 spot, which I might get some heat for in the comments, which I am prepared for. We have Joseph from the Creep movies. I actually just watched the Creep movies not long ago. After watching both of the Creep movies, I then bought the whole series and watched the series Creep tapes. I just like the character. I think the actor for the character plays him really well. I think the movies are creepy, hence the name Creep. The movies can be slightly boring. I feel like they should have made the movies a lot shorter. I definitely preferred the series to the movies. Just for those who don't know, the Creep movies are pretty much this guy, and he like lures people out to his house essentially, and he like acts all buddy with them and all friendly, and he ends up killing them at the end of it. But it's just really well how it's all filmed. It's all filmed in like a first person point of view, kind of like Blair Witch, where there's not really monsters and much vlogging, but it is people recording their interaction with him, so it's like you're there rather than someone else recording it, if that makes sense. So I really enjoy the movies. Like I mentioned, I'll probably get some heat that Joseph is above Ghostface and Michael Myers, but once again, personal preference. I just preferred the character and the movies more than Halloween and Scream. Now we can move on to my number 7 spot. A deserved number 7 spot. Most people would probably say, Jesus Christ, I can't even speak. Most people would probably say this character deserves to be higher on the list. We have Freddy Krueger. I think his movies are good. I don't have a problem with the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. I think they're obviously cult classics, iconic character. I think he has the best look out of any horror character out there. I think the very iconic, obviously the hand with the hat, he's obviously burnt. He's got the striped jumper, the brown jeans. I think he's got a super iconic look. Although it may be a little bit basic, you don't want too much of a flashy look when it comes to a horror character. I like it to be more human slash monster. I'm not a huge fan of horror movies where it's just a full monster. And I also really don't like horror movies where the antagonist is just a human. Obviously, I've put the Creep movies, or I've put Joseph at number 8. He is just pure human. But the guy's not right in the head. Like, there's something messed up with that guy. And the actor plays it so well that it makes you actually believe there's something wrong with the guy. Anyway, back to Freddy Krueger. Yeah, I think his horror movies are good. I think they're more leaning to the comedy side, which I don't usually like in horror movies. I don't usually like it when they try and mix horror with, like, rom-com or horror with comedy. But Freddy Krueger, cult classic, you can't go wrong. I actually have a VHS up there that is Freddy's Nightmare. Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy's Nightmare. You can barely see it. It's this is up here. This is the VHS. My plan is to buy a VHS player, and then on Halloween, I'm going to watch that on Halloween. I don't know. I just think it'll be quite cool. Now we can go up one more to another incredible cult classic, iconic character. Number 6, we have Jason Voorhees. I wish they wouldn't have dragged it out as much as they did. Some of the Jason movies are, you know, incredible. Like the first one, for example. I love the first movie. But then you've got ones like, what do you call it? Jason X? Is that what it's called? Hold on, let me just fact check this real quick. X, is that what you call it? Yeah, Jason X, where it's just pretty shit. I really didn't like that one. I feel like they did drag the Friday the 13th movies out slightly, but I'm glad they're not still making them like the Halloween ones. I think there's another Halloween movie coming out, and they're not doing that with the Friday the 13th movie. I think they've put that to rest, hopefully, anyway, because they dragged that out a little bit. But iconic look, I've dressed up as him before. I love Jason Voorhees. I think he's the best out of Jason, Freddy, and Michael. There's always this big debate about, you know, these three being like the top of the top. I don't think any of them, personally for me anyway, are the top horror characters of all time. But out of the three of them, I think Jason's definitely the best. And after having Freddy and Jason in the list, you have to mention Freddy vs. Jason. I really like the Freddy vs. Jason movie. It was like watching some sort of multiverses crossover, seeing Freddy fight Jason. Especially, I haven't seen it in a while. Was it in a barn that they fought? Like their kind of final fight? Or it might not have been the final fight, but they fought in a barn and there was like fire and shit. I loved that scene. I thought that was a great scene. Anyway, now we can move into the top 5. This is a deserved spot for sure. I don't think I'll get too much heat for having this person in the 5 spot. But we have Pinhead from the Hellraiser movies. I've not seen all the Hellraiser movies, I'm not going to lie. I've still got a fair few to watch. But Pinhead is just, I'd say he's one of the GOATs of horror for sure. Such an iconic movie. The only movie that, from what I've seen so far, I've liked them all. The only one I didn't really like was the remake they made. I think it was 2022 or 2023. Let me see. They remade one, a 2022 one, and it's just nothing like any of the original ones. It's kind of like Hell on Earth because they come to Earth, but they've just, I don't know, it's just weird. Listen, don't take this the wrong way. Okay, I'm not sexist. I love women. I wouldn't be here without a woman. But I think it was a mistake changing all of the horror characters to females. I think one of the more iconic things about Pinhead is his voice, that really deep kind of demonic voice. And then they've just changed it drastically, which I've not got a problem with females being in horror movies or anything. Carrie is a horror movie. Carrie's one of my favorite horror movies of all time. I think it's a great horror movie. But I would not, again, take a cult classic and change it or make as big of a change as they did with this movie. So I didn't like that movie. However, Pinhead as a character is what I'm rating here. And as a character, he's definitely in the top 5. Number 4 spot, we're edging towards number 1 spot. Number 4 spot, just finished watching these movies recently, and I just made a video on these movies recently as well. We have Art the Clown in my number 4 spot. More of a kind of upcoming horror icon. Personally, right now, I would say he is embedded in the horror icons. I think he has made it to there. They have one more movie coming out. They've got Terrifier 4 coming out. I think that's going to be the last movie. But I don't think any of the Terrifier movies were bad, including All Hallows Eve. Like I mentioned, I made a video recently ranking them. I think I put Terrifier 1, like the original Terrifier, as my favorite movie, which I of course still stand by. I think it's one of the best clowns in all of horror. Well, second best clown according to my list, which I mean I obviously agree with. I made the damned list. And honestly, I think Art the Clown is scary. I don't really think a lot of horror characters are scary, but I think Art the Clown sends some shivers up certain people's spines, including myself. I think especially how the actor David Howard Thornton, I think that's his name. I couldn't pronounce it in my other video, but Christ, we'll go with it. David Howard Thornton. The way he plays the character is so good, and the fact that he just shows zero remorse for any of the kills that he does, I think just is like that cherry on the top for the character. I think the character's super creepy. I think he's played really well, and yeah, like I mentioned, the fact he has no remorse just makes it that much creepier, and he's definitely a new icon in my opinion. Number 3 spot, possibly an unexpected spot, we have the Creeper from Jeepers Creepers. Personal preference, I'm just a huge fan of the Jeepers Creepers movies. I've also rated them. I rated them a while ago, or ranked them, sorry. But yeah, I think the Creeper, again, huge iconic character. However, I think from when it went to the first movie and down, it kind of just flopped. I did prefer the second movie to the first movie, but then the third movie came out and it was like, wow, this movie's pretty shit. Then the most recent movie, Jeepers Creepers Reborn, came out, and that was awful. Like, that movie was terrible. And now, based off the ending of that, he was like lying on the table dead, and then he woke up. So I assume there's another Jeepers Creepers movie coming out, which I'm excited for nonetheless, even though the 2 most recent ones have been awful. I still just like seeing the character, I say on the big screen, on television. Actually, by the time that one comes out, I should see it in cinema. Awesome. But yeah, personal preference, again, I'm rating the character. I like the look and the design of the character. I like how he doesn't talk, and he is like a full-on, he's like an animal. Like, you've got that human aspect to him, but he is like some sort of demonic creature, which I do like in horror. And yeah, I think his movies were good. I think the fact that the second and the first movie were so good, that elevates it high enough where I can say, yeah, the Jeepers Creepers movies are good, even though the third and the fourth one were shit. Alright, now we're in the top 2. In my number 2 spot, we have the most iconic clown. Now you know who it is. We have Pennywise. I think the It movies are incredible. One of the only movies where a jump scare has actually got me. It was in It Chapter 2. And this was like a full-on jump I'd done, by the way. It was the scene where Henry is in the mental hospital or something like that, and he finds the balloon under the bed and it pops, and you've got Patrick under the bed and his face is all mangled. It doesn't like scare me now thinking back to it. It didn't even scare me at the moment. It was just the balloon pop sound and then seeing him crawling out the bed. It made me jump. But back to Pennywise as a character, I mean, come on, man. He has to be in your top 3. He has to be. Super iconic. Tim Curry's version paved the way for Bill Skarsgård's version. I am a Bill Skarsgård person. I'm going to be honest. I prefer Bill Skarsgård to Tim Curry. However, usually it is hard to beat a OG, as in, you know, the original person to play the character. But I just prefer Bill Skarsgård. You have the Welcome to Derry. I've got notes down here, by the way. You've got the Welcome to Derry series coming out too, which I'm super excited for. I think it's coming out next year. Is it? Is it coming out this year? I'm pretty sure it's coming out next year. Let me fact check that as well, actually. Oh, no, it's coming out. Oh, it is coming out this year. Okay, great. 26th of October this year. Welcome to Derry comes out on HBO Max. Wow, that's sooner than I thought. That's literally next month. I thought it was coming out next year. Awesome. Yeah, anyway, super excited for that, and I know Bill Skarsgård is coming back to play the role as Pennywise in the series, which I'm also super excited for. Iconic character, most iconic clown in the horror sphere. Just great. None of his movies are bad. You know, the 1990 miniseries, isn't bad. The 2017 version is one of my favorite horror movies of all time. That's not bad. And Chapter 2 isn't bad. And I hope Welcome to Derry isn't bad. I hope it doesn't flop, because then that's just going to have a big impact on It, because he hasn't, you know, the It franchise hasn't had a bad movie. And if they then come out with a series and it's shit, that's going to be very unfortunate. But now, I just dropped my pen, we can move on to my number 1 spot, my favourite slasher of all time. I've made it very clear on the channel. I've made a video ranking his movies. Leatherface is my favorite slasher of all time. Top tier movies. His movies are incredible. I think he's got like 9 movies, and I think only maybe like 2 of them or 3 of them I think are like, I wouldn't watch them again. However, as for the other ones, I could watch all the other ones easily, you know, in a row. Like, I love the Leatherface, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies. I think the look of the character is perfect, where he's mostly a human, but there's also that side to him where it's like, okay, this guy's not human. He's obviously a human, but watching it, some people would say, okay, this guy's fucked up. This guy's not human. I think how they've structured the character over the years, it's been kind of up and down. The original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the 1974 one, is my favorite horror movie of all time. I think it's the perfect horror movie, from the looks to the layout. Even though it's really old, like, some of the stuff in it is just super wacky. But I love the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies as a franchise, and Leatherface especially. Like, you know, obviously by this list, my favorite horror slasher of all time, easily. And I think there's another Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie coming out just based off of the 2022 version, I think it was, the most recent one. At the end of it, Leatherface was like walking towards the original house. So I would assume that's leading up to another Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie coming out, I hope. But yeah, that's my list. I think Leatherface is definitely my favorite anyway. Horror slasher of all time. I'm out of here.